Humans gathered in the Great Hall on Aloria Prime for the emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. The room was huge with high ceilings and walls that glowed soft blue from hidden lights. Many species sat in their special seats made for tails, wings, or extra limbs. Tall plant-like beings from Vexara stood silent, with leaves rustling when they moved. Short furry diplomats from Krell hopped nervously on padded platforms. Long-necked scholars from Thalor bent low over datapads, whispering in low clicks. At the center table sat the oldest members who had seen stars born and die. They wore robes of silver thread that caught every beam of light. Today no one smiled or shared polite greetings. 3 worlds had gone silent in the last few cycles. The Cravor Dominion had arrived without warning. Their ships were black and sharp, like knives cutting through space. They sent one message to each planet: burn. No one knew where the Cravor came from exactly. Some said they slept in dark nebulae for ages. Others said they were made in secret labs by a forgotten war god. Whatever the truth, the result was the same. Cities turned to glass from orbit. Oceans boiled away. Survivors begged for terms, but got only silence and more fire. The council had called this meeting to decide what to do. Most members wanted to talk. Talking had kept peace for thousands of years. They offered resources. They drew new border lines. They gave breeding rights or mining claims. The Cravor would take something and leave the rest alone. That was how the game worked. Ambassador Lyra Voss sat near the edge of the circle. She was human. Her people had joined the council only 20 cycles ago. Many still called humans young blood or newcomers. Lyra wore a plain gray uniform with no decorations, short and dark. Her eyes were calm but sharp. She listened as speaker after speaker stood up. First came Counselor Thalvex from the herbivore block. His voice was smooth like wind over grass. "We must send envoys at once," he said. "Offer them the Outer Rim mines and the crystal fields of Nexara. They will see reason and move on." Nods rippled through half the room. Next spoke High Matron Kesh of the Wing Clans. Her feathers puffed with worry. "We can add genetic samples from our hatcheries. They value strong bloodlines. It is a small price for survival." More nods. Then the Predator rep spoke quietly. They knew war better than most, but even they suggested tribute fleets and neutral zones. Everyone looked for the easy path. Lyra waited until the last voice faded. The room grew quiet. All eyes turned to the human. She stood, slowly. Her chair made no sound on the polished floor. She looked around at the faces old and strange. Some curious, some annoyed, some afraid. She spoke in clear, simple words. "Humanity will not make any deal with the Cravor." The silence became thick. A few laughed, short, nervous sounds. Counselor Thalvex tilted his long head. "Surely you jest, Ambassador. This is no time for pride." Lyra did not smile. "We do not pay killers to go away. We do not trade land for time. We do not give tribute to murderers. If they want war, they will get it, but on our terms." A ripple of shock moved through the chamber. One of the Krell diplomats squeaked, "But your fleet is small. Your worlds are few. You cannot fight them alone." Lyra turned to him. "We do not plan to fight alone forever, but we will never bend, never bargain, never let butchers buy peace with blood money." The Cravor demand arrived right then. Holo message burst into the center of the room. It showed the black flagship of Overlord Zethka. His face filled the projection. 4 red eyes glowed. Mandibles clicked as he spoke. "Humans of Elysium 4, surrender your colony in 1 cycle. Give us your leaders and your weapons, or we glass your skies and take your children for sport." The image cut off. Gasps filled the air. Counselor Thalvex stood again. "See, they give us a choice. We must answer quickly. Lyra raised one hand. She pressed a small device on her wrist. A secure line opened to Sol. The council screens flickered as human command channels lit up across the quadrant. Red alerts blinked on every display. Fleet icons moved into formation faster than anyone expected. Lyra looked at the council once more. Elysium 4 will not surrender. No human world will ever surrender to genocide. We remember what happens when you let killers walk away. They come back. They always come back. She sat down. No one spoke for a long moment. Then the hollow feeds from Elysium showed the Kravor armada arriving. 3,000 ships blocked the stars. They waited for the white flag. Instead, a single message went out from the colony governor. No deals, no prisoners, no mercy. The words echoed in every language the council knew. Overlord Zethka laughed on open channels. He promised to make the humans scream for the whole galaxy to hear. Lyra watched the screens. Her face stayed calm. Inside, she felt the old fire that humans carried from Earth. The same fire that burned through centuries of war and loss. The same fire that said, enough is enough. Far away, human ships began to jump. Not one fleet, but many. Fast carriers with wings of drones. Heavy rail platforms that could punch through armor. Light speed. Stealth boats that slipped past sensors like ghosts. They came from every direction. Not to defend land. Not to claim glory. But to end a threat forever. The council watched in silence. Some whispered about madness. Others felt something new. Fear mixed with awe. They had thought humans were soft because they smiled and traded. Now they saw something else. A people who drew a line in the void and refused to step back, even when the stars themselves burned. The battle was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Kravor armada filled the sky above Elysium 4 like a storm of black blades. 3,000 ships hung in perfect formation, blocking out the local sun. Their hulls drank light and gave nothing back. Overlord Zethka sat on the bridge of his flagship, the Wrath Eternal. His 4 red eyes scanned the tactical display. He expected fear from the humans. He expected white surrender flags to rise from every dome and tower below. Instead, the colony sent one short message across all open channels. No deals, no prisoners, no mercy. Zethka clicked his mandibles in amusement. He opened a broadcast to the entire fleet and beyond. These soft-skinned apes think words will save them. We will make them scream until the stars themselves hear it. The Kravor laughed in their guttural way. They powered weapons and began descent vectors. That was when the first human ships arrived. Fleets. They came from everywhere at once. Stealth corvettes slipped out of fold space inside the Kravor picket line. Small, silent, deadly. They fired no warning shots. They targeted command bridges and sensor arrays. Explosions bloomed like sudden flowers in the void. Kravor ships lost steering in seconds. Panic alarms wailed across their networks. Zethka snarled orders. Form defensive spheres. Crush the intruders. But the humans did not stay to fight fair. Fast attack carriers jumped in at extreme range. They launched swarms of drones. The drones moved like angry insects. Each one carried a single heavy rail round or plasma lance. They dodged Kravor point defense with impossible turns. They struck engines, reactors, weapon mounts. One by one capital ships went dark. Lights flickered out. Escape pods launched in fear. Prime. Long-range telescopes fed live images to the Great Hall. Counselors stared in silence. Some covered their eyes. Others leaned forward, unable to look away. Thalvex, the herbivore counselor, whispered, "This cannot be real. They are too few. They should be running." But the humans kept coming. Heavy rail platforms translated in behind the Kravor main body. These were not nimble fighters. They were slow, armored bricks, packed with guns. Each platform unleashed volleys that crossed light minutes in heartbeats. Cravor battleships split open like overripe fruit. Debris clouds expanded in slow motion. Admiral Reyes commanded the human response from the carrier Indomitable. Her voice stayed level on fleet comms. Prioritize command nodes. Remove their ability to coordinate. We end this today. No grand speeches, no calls for glory, just cold purpose. Regroup. Zethka pulled his remaining heavies into a tight wedge. He aimed the formation at Elysium 4. If we cannot win, we will take the prize, glass the colony, make them pay. His ships accelerated, but human stealth boats had already seeded the path with smart mines. The mines waited, patient and invisible. When the Cravor wedge hit the field, dozens of ships vanished in white fire. Others spun out of control. Collision warnings screamed. Zethka roared in rage. He ordered full burn to break through. More mines waited. More ships died. The Dominion fleet shrank from 3,000 to 2,000 to 1,000 in less than 2 hours. Cravor crews began to break. Some ships turned to run. Others fired on their own to stop the rout. Discipline crumbled. Zethka felt it in his carapace. The rigid chain of command that held his people together snapped link by link. Opened a channel to the human flagship. You fight like cowards. Face us in honorable battle. Admiral Reyes answered herself. You came to murder families. You burned worlds for sport. Honor ended when you glassed the first civilian dome. Now you face consequences. The channel cut. No more words. Only action. Human boarding teams launched from hidden assault shuttles. They wore matte black armor that drank sensor pings. They moved in zero gravity like predators born to it. They cut into crippled Cravor ships through airlocks and hull breaches. Inside they found chaos. Cravor warriors fought with blades and plasma, but humans fought with precision. Flashbangs, concussion grenades, targeted shots. They took no prisoners unless ordered. Most times the order never came. Zethka watched his empire die on every screen. His mandibles trembled. Command. All ships ram the human carrier. Die with honor. A few loyal captains obeyed. They turned their burning hulks toward the Indomitable. Human point defense shredded them long before impact. The rest scattered. Some jumped blind into fold space. Others drifted helpless, waiting for the end. On Elysium 4, the colonists watched from shelters. Children pressed faces to viewports. They saw fire in the sky. They saw black ships break apart. They cheered quiet, fierce cheers. Parents held them close and whispered, "We are safe because we said no." Back in the council chamber, the mood had shifted from shock to terror. Counselor Kesh fluffed her feathers in distress. They are exterminating them, not defeating, exterminating. Thalvex shook his head. This is not war. This is erasure. A Krell diplomat hopped forward. We must intervene. Send peacekeepers. Stop the slaughter. Lyra Voss stood again, her voice cut through the noise. You would stop us from ending a genocide after you offered them terms for doing it. The chamber went quiet once more. Lyra pointed to the screens. Look at what they did to 3 member worlds. Look at the demands they made. Then tell me why we should let them live to do it again. No one answered. The battle continued. Human forces hunted stragglers. They tracked every escape vector. They destroyed relay stations, propaganda beacons, repair yards. Nothing was left to chance. Zethka sat alone on his ruined bridge. Most of his crew lay dead around him. Blood slicked the beck. He stared at the final tactical map, his fleet reduced to flickering dots. He opened one last channel. Humans, you have won this day, but we will return. We always return. On his screen. No. You will not. The feed from the Wrath Eternal showed human borders breaching the final bulkhead. Zefka raised his sidearm. He aimed at the camera. His last words were a curse in his native tongue. Then a single shot rang out. The screen went black. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. The Cravor Dominion had come as conquerors. They left as smoke and memory. And humanity had made sure the lesson would last. The council members looked at each other. They saw fear in strange alien eyes. They understood something new. Humans did not fight for land or riches. They fought to make sure killers never killed again, and they would pay any price to see it done. The stars felt colder now, and the old rules of the galaxy began to crack. The great hall on Aloria Prime felt smaller now. Lights still glowed soft blue, but the air tasted heavy with fear. Counselors sat stiff in their seats. No one rustled leaves or clicked mandibles or hopped on platforms. They stared at the wall of screens that showed the end of the Cravor fleet. Smoke clouds drifted where proud black ships once hung. Twisted metal spun slow in the void above Elysium 4. Human vessels moved through the wreckage like hunters checking traps. They fired precise shots to finish crippled hulls. No mercy calls went out. No offers of surrender. Just quiet, efficient death. Counselor Thalvex broke the silence first. His long neck trembled as he spoke. This is madness. They killed thousands in hours. They erased a species' command structure. We must condemn this at once. High Matron Kesh fluffed her feathers hard. Her voice shook. They hunted. They chased fleeing ships across systems. This is not victory. This is vengeance. A Krell diplomat bounced forward on short legs. We should send observers. We should demand human fleets stand down. We offered terms to the Cravor. We could have saved lives on both sides. Now blood stains every star we see. Lyra Voss stood alone at her place. She looked small among the tall aliens, but her voice carried clear and strong. You watched 3 worlds burn. You saw children vaporized in their beds. You heard the Cravor promise more, and your answer was tribute. A few minerals, some genes, a new borderline. You called that saving lives. We call it feeding the beast. The chamber stirred. Some counselors looked away. Others gripped armrests tight. A Thalor scholar leaned forward, his long neck curved like a question mark. Ambassador, your people are new here. You do not understand balance. The galaxy has lasted because we compromise. We bend so we do not break. Lyra met his gaze. We understand balance very well. We balance the cost of war against the cost of letting killers live. We chose war because the other choice ends in graves. A new feed appeared on the screens. It came from human command channels. A leaked document titled Directive 0. The words scrolled slow for all to read. Any species that commits genocide forfeits right to future existence. No statute of limitations, no parole, no deals, no exceptions. The hall went dead quiet. Even the soft hum of air recyclers seemed loud. Counselor Thalvex read the words twice. Then he whispered, "This is a doctrine of extermination." Lyra nodded once. "It is a doctrine of prevention. We learned it the hard way. Own world, long before we reached the stars." She touched a control on her wrist. Old footage filled the screens. Grainy images from Earth centuries past. Rows of thin bodies stacked like wood. Smoke rising from camps. Marching lines under rifles. Children with hollow eyes behind wire. Mass graves dug by machines. Silent witnesses to choices made long ago. The Council saw for the first time. Not alien wars. Not distant battles. But human pain carved deep. Lyra spoke over the images. We said never again. We meant it. Not just for us. For everyone. When the Cravor glassed those 3 worlds, they crossed the line we drew in blood. There is no coming back from that line. No negotiation, no second chance. The footage ended. The screens went dark. A heavy silence followed. Then, a predator species counselor from the Rimworlds spoke. His voice was low and rough. I have fought wars. I know killers. Your people did not hesitate. You struck the head first. You cut the body apart piece by piece. That is how you end threats. Not with words, not with tribute, with finality. Other predator reps nodded slow. They understood. The herbivores and pacifists did not. They shifted in seats. They whispered among themselves. One Vexara plant being rustled leaves in distress. We must censure humanity. We must restrict their fleet movements. We must bring them under council control before this spreads. Lyra turned to face the speaker. Control us after we stopped a genocide you refused to fight? You would chain the only ones willing to act because we scare you. The plant being had no answer. More voices rose. Some called for sanctions. Others demanded human withdrawal from council chambers. Asked for private talks. They wanted to know the limits of Directive Zero. They feared what it might mean for their own past sins. Many species had dark chapters. Appeasements that cost innocence. Tributes paid while worlds suffered. Now they saw a mirror, and the reflection showed judgment. Lyra stayed calm. She answered every question the same way. We do not seek empire. We do not want your worlds. We want killers gone, permanently. If your hands are clean, you have nothing to fear. If they are not, remember our words. No deals with killers. The debate went on for hours. Voices grew louder. Accusations flew. But no vote came. No one dared call for action against humanity yet. The screens still showed human ships sweeping the outer systems. They found hidden Cravor repair yards. They turned them to dust. They tracked propaganda relays. They silenced them forever. Each act felt like a warning, not just to remnants of the Dominion, but to the Council itself. As the session dragged toward end, a final image appeared. It came from Elysium 4. Colonists emerged from shelters. They walked into sunlight. Children ran and laughed. Adults embraced. A banner hung from the main dome. Simple words in human script. We said no, and we lived. The Council watched. Some felt relief for the saved lives. Others felt dread for the new reality. Humanity had not just won a battle. They had changed the rules. No more quiet tribute. No more bending to threats. From now on, killers would face a wall that did not move, and the galaxy wondered who would test that wall next. Lyra Voss sat down. She looked tired but steady. She knew the fear in the room. She knew it would grow. Deeper. Fear was better than graves. And principles were worth the cost. The lights dimmed slow. The meeting ended without decision. But everyone understood. The old galaxy had cracked, and humanity held the hammer. The remnants of the Cravor fleet tried to flee toward the galactic rim. Scattered ships jumped blind into fold space, leaving trails of leaking plasma. Human hunters followed without pause. They used trackers planted during the battle, small beacons that clung to hulls like parasites. Every jump the Cravor made, humans matched. No ship escaped for long. In the outer dark, a lone Cravor cruiser limped toward a hidden repair outpost. Its engines coughed and sparked. Crew members screamed orders in panic. They thought distance would save them. Then human stealth boats appeared from nowhere. They matched speed and latched on. Boarding teams cut through armor in minutes. Inside the corridors ran red. Cravor warriors fought with desperate claws. Humans moved in tight groups, covering each other. They used tight beams and shock charges. No waste, no noise. When the fighting ended, the ship belonged to the hunters. They searched every deck. They found data cores, propaganda files, breeding plans, all evidence of what the Dominion planned next. They copied it all, then set charges. The cruiser bloomed into silent fire. The outpost waited nearby, a ring of docks hidden in an asteroid field. Cravor technicians worked fast to patch wounded ships. They hoped to regroup and strike back. Human rail platforms arrived first. They fired from beyond sensor range. Heavy rounds punched through rock and metal. Docks crumpled like paper. Repair bays exploded in chain reactions. Technicians died at their posts. No warnings, no demands, just erasure. Overlord Zethka survived the flagship fall. He clung to life in an escape pod. The pod drifted among debris. His wounds leaked green blood. He clutched a data shard with final orders. He whispered curses to the void. Shuttle found him. They towed the pod to the Indomitable. Boarders opened it, careful and quick. Zethka raised his sidearm with shaking claws. They stunned him before he could fire. They bound him in no-grav restraints. They brought him to the main hangar. Admiral Reyes waited there. She stood in simple uniform. No guards crowded around. Just quiet officers and a single camera drone. Zethka spat when he saw her. "You think this ends with me? My kind will rise again. We breed fast. We conquer always." Reyes looked at him without anger. "Your kind ended when you chose genocide. You glassed worlds for no reason but power. You broadcast the screams to break spirits. Now you face what you created." Zethka laughed, weak and wet. "Then execute me. Make me a martyr. Humans will fear the revenge." Reyes shook her head. "No martyr, no trial, no spectacle. Get what your victims got. Swift and final." She nodded to a Marine. The Marine stepped forward. He raised a rail pistol. Zethka snarled one last time. The shot was clean, a single round through the skull. Zethka slumped. The body floated in zero gravity. No cheers rose. No one spoke. The camera drone broadcast the moment live across open channels. The galaxy saw. No torture, no long speech, just consequence. The council chamber erupted when the feed reached Aloria Prime. Counselors shouted over each other. Thalvex stood tall and angry. "This is barbarism. They killed a prisoner in cold blood. No court, no defense. We must act now." Kesh flapped her wings hard. "War crimes. Clear war crimes. We have laws. We have treaties. Humanity breaks them all." A Krell bounced high in outrage. "They mock justice. They make us accomplices by watching. And we must expel them from the council." Lyra Voss rose slow. She waited for the noise to drop. When silence came, she spoke. "You call it murder. We call it necessity. You offered terms after they burned children. You called that diplomacy. We refuse to play that game. Now you accuse us of breaking laws. What laws protected the dead on those 3 worlds? What treaties stopped the glassing? Nothing. Your laws failed. Ours worked." Thalvex pointed a long finger. "You execute without trial. You hunt without end. You scare us more than the Cravor ever did." Lyra met his eyes. "Good. Fear the ones who stop killers, not the killers themselves." A quiet voice came from the back. A Rimworld Predator counselor. He spoke low. "They did what we never had the stomach for. We paid tribute while innocents died. We drew lines. We never defended. Humans drew one line and held it. I do not like their methods, but I understand them." Murmurs spread. Some nodded. Others looked away ashamed. Riots broke out on pacifist worlds. Crowds marched with signs demanding peace. They burned human flags. They called for boycotts. But arms factories on those same worlds increased production in secret. Leaders feared what came next. They armed quietly. They watched human movements. They wondered who would be judged after the Cravor. A secret session formed in the council underlevels. Only a few attended. They spoke in whispers. They drafted plans. Not war plans, contingency plans. How to contain humanity. How to limit their reach. How to survive if Directive Zero turned inward. They listed old appeasements. Worlds traded away. Species sold out. Blood paid for time. See those acts as complicity. They feared the hammer would fall again. Above them in the main hall, Lyra received a summons. She walked to the central podium. Counselors watched, silent. She placed a small data crystal there. It glowed faint red. This is our updated policy. Read it, share it, live by it or not, but know we will. She turned and left. The crystal stayed behind. No one touched it at first. Then Thalvex reached out. He activated it. Words appeared in every language. Any species or polity that commits or enables genocide is a permanent existential threat. Negotiation is not offered. Survival is not guaranteed. The hall emptied slow. Counselors filed out. They carried the weight of new truth. The Cravor were gone, but the fear remained. Not fear of weapons or ships. Fear of a principle that did not bend. Accountability, P. And the galaxy felt naked under its gaze. The stars watched quiet, waiting for the next test, knowing it would come, and knowing humans would answer the same way. No deals, no mercy, just the end of threats. Months passed since the last Cravor ship burned away. The galaxy tried to breathe again. Stars still shone, but the light felt different now. Human forces did not leave the field right away. They stayed to finish the job. They found hidden breeding worlds deep in dark nebulae, small outposts where Cravor larvae grew in vats. They destroyed the vats with careful plasma. They made sure no ideology could regrow from those seeds. They quarantined the core systems. Old Cravor homeworlds became empty husks. Survivors scattered as refugees. Some begged for mercy on neutral stations. Others hid in asteroid belts hoping to rebuild. Humans watched every move. They did not hunt for sport. They hunted to prevent return. No new dominion rose. No revenge fleets gathered. The name Cravor became a warning whispered in every port. On Aloria Prime, the council reconvened. Smaller. Many seats stayed empty. Some counselors had resigned in shame. Others vanished to their homeworlds. They feared what humans might ask next. The remaining members sat quiet. They spoke in low voices. They avoided big words like justice or war. Ambassador Lyra Voss entered last. She walked alone. No escorts this time. Her gray uniform looked the same. Her face showed lines from sleepless nights, but her eyes stayed steady. She took her place at the edge of the circle. No one greeted her with smiles. No one offered polite nods. They just watched. Thalvex stood first. His long neck bent lower than usual. We have read your data crystal, Ambassador. We understand your position. We do not agree with all of it, but we see the results. The Cravor are gone. The threat is ended. We thank you for that. Lyra listened without expression. Continued. We wish to move forward. We propose a new treaty. Limits on fleet sizes. Shared intelligence. Joint patrols. To keep peace. Lyra waited until he finished. Then she spoke. We do not need new treaties to keep peace. We need species to stop committing genocide. If you do that, we have no reason to act. If you do not, we will. No limits, no joint patrols, no shared command. We keep our own way. A murmur spread through the room. Kesh fluffed her feathers once, then settled. She spoke soft. Your Directive Zero scares us. It leaves no room for error, no chance for redemption. What if a species makes a mistake? What if leaders act without full support? Lyra looked at her. Mistakes that kill millions are not mistakes. They are choices. We judge by actions, not intentions. Redemption comes after justice, not instead of it. Predator Counselor leaned forward. His voice rumbled. I like your way better. No games, no bribes, just truth. If we cross that line, we know what waits. It makes us think twice. Many heads nodded slow. Even some herbivores agreed in silence. The old way had cost too much. Tribute had bought time. But time always ran out. Now the price came up front. And it came in fire. Lyra placed another small device on the table. It glowed faint blue. This is our final statement to the Council. Read it when you are alone. It lists what we consider enabling genocide. Appeasement counts. Silence counts. Looking away counts. We will not wait for proof. We will act on pattern. The device stayed there. No one touched it yet. They knew what it meant. The Council had blood on old hands. Many members had voted for bad deals in the past. For quiet. Now they felt the shadow of that choice. Lyra stood to leave. One last voice stopped her. A young Thalor scholar. His neck curved in respect. Ambassador, will humanity stay in the Council, or will you walk away? Lyra paused at the door. We stay, not because we trust you, but because others need to see what happens when killers meet resistance. We stay to remind you, no deals with killers, ever. She walked out. The doors closed behind her. The chamber sat in deep quiet. Counselors looked at the device. They looked at empty seats. They looked at each other. They understood at last the terror in the old alert message. Galaxy alert. Humans refuse deals with killers. The Council is terrified. It was never about human guns or ships. It was about human refusal to bend. In a galaxy built on compromise, humanity said no. Stick. They did not conquer worlds. They did not demand tribute. They simply removed threats and left the rest alone. Unless the rest became threats. Refugee camps filled with Craver survivors. Some learned new ways. They worked on farms or stations. They spoke against their old leaders. They tried to build something better. Humans oversaw the camps, not with cruelty, but with firm rules. No weapons, no secret meetings, no talk of revenge. Break the rules and face removal. Most followed. A few did not. Few vanished quiet and quick. No trials, no news, just gone. Word spread fast. Even refugees learned the new rule. No deals with killers, not even among their own. On Earth, people watched the feeds. They saw the empty Craver worlds. They saw the Council squirm. They felt pride mixed with heavy hearts. They knew the cost. They knew more fights would come. But they also knew something strong. When evil rose, they would meet it. Not with words alone, not with tribute, with the will to end it. The galaxy changed slow. Old alliances shifted. New ones formed. Some species armed more. Others talked peace harder. All watched humanity. Some feared them. Some admired them. A few tried to copy them. The stars kept burning. Planets kept turning. But the old, comfortable fear of war faded, replaced by something sharper. Accountability. And in quiet moments, counselors remembered the line humans drew, the one they would not cross back over, the one that said enough, and meant it forever. Lyra Voss stood on a balcony above Eloria Prime. She looked at the stars. She thought of home. She thought of the graves on distant worlds. She thought of the children who lived. Because others did not. A soft wind moved her hair. She whispered to the night, "Never again." The words carried no echo, but they carried weight. Enough to shift galaxies. Enough to terrify those who once felt safe in compromise. Humanity had come to the stars and brought their oldest promise with them. The promise to fight killers until no killers remained. And the Council knew they would never sleep easy again.